Well, hello, welcome back. I'm Claire, this is Purple Poppy, and today we are on Sunday stitching. Those of you that followed the beginnings of it last year may recognise what's on my table, and it got a bit wayward really because we slid into the lives for the swap, and then it became Christmas, and this poor little thing got a little bit neglected and forgotten. But it's a new year and we're going to get on and we are going to get it finished. So the very first one we did, I believe, was the buttons. Then we did this little patch with just a sort of running borrow stitch, and then we did this piston stitch, or pistol stitch, sorry, which created these two flowers. So sticking with the flower theme today, I'm thinking, now at the moment there is no right or wrong way for this. It could be turned any which way you choose. But with today's, we're actually going to end up with a direction that it has to go into. So you need to choose, your square according to whether you want to look at it down like this, or you'd rather look at it down like this, or like this, whatever way you want it. Because today I'd like to make some mushrooms. And we are going to make some mushrooms by making some Suffolk puffs. Now, I made Suffolk puffs not on the Sunday stitching, but on other videos that I've done with you before. But for those of you that may not have seen that, I'm going to quickly do some Suffolk puffs. However, although I've done them with you before, I have not turned them into mushrooms. In fact, I've never done it myself. So I'm getting myself a circle, just a circle, any size that you want. And I'm going to choose this lighter one of my fabrics. But what you do, oh look, if we use it on the reverse, it's darker. That's handy. So what you do need to remember is that your finished Suffolk puff will be approximately half. Yes, I did Suffolk puffs on my Stitching Advent. You need to remember that what you end up stitching is going to be about half of the size of this circle. So I'm using my pinking shears purely because I have them. You can definitely cut this with normal scissors. There is no problem there at all. Okay, and I'm just going to cut these circles out. I'm going to cut two, and I'm going to cut them the same size, and then I'm going to whiz round and stitch them up. And I know there's a number of you that have followed along that have already done some Suffolk puffs. Now, can I fit this on there again? I don't think I can. See, I'm trying not to interfere with that. Well, I was trying not to interfere with the stitch line, but if you have to, you have to, I suppose. So it will add a bit more pattern, I suppose. Now you noticed I turned my fabric over. The only reason I turn my fabric over is because it is very much the two colours. If your fabric is the same, it's just lighter because of the back, then you probably only want to cut from one side. Because if you can put your pencil lines, as it were, on the back, you're not going to see them. If you've got one of those super snazzy Frism pens where you can iron off, the heat takes off the my little needle book that I made over Christmas, So I'm just going to find a needle that's got a relatively big hole, because you know what I'm like. And I thought it was all clever having all my standard cottons, not cottons, the embroidery flosses. Right, this is a big reel I've got, and this is just crochet cotton. If you're interested, it's 100 grams in weight, and it's this very thin, it's 100% cotton, and it's Musa 20, and the colour is 000. I just thought this would be great for standard stitching. I have got a few reels of white cotton, like just sewing thread, but to be honest with you, they are so old they tend to break. Now the lovely Karen did send me a needle threader, or a few needle threaders in the post as a little happy mail. But one of the things that I've found is that if the cotton, see, I'm even having trouble threading this. How ridiculous is that? There you go. If the cotton is a little bit too thick, it won't go through there anyway, because it goes through the threader, but then, yeah, it goes through the threader, then you can't get it. That one's gone. But some of them are too thick, you can't then pull it back through. But that doesn't mean that I am not very grateful, Karen, because when they work, you know, with normal cottons, it's fantastic, saves me loads of time, and it saves my eyes. Okay, so all we're doing is a small running stitch, trying to keep it the same distance all the way around your circle. So just in and out, can't really go wrong. Try and keep your stitches the same size. I haven't, that was an awful attempt, but anyway. And just pull your threads through. I tend to push mine back flat for the time being because I don't want it gathering up while I'm trying to stitch it. This needle's actually really sharp. Just stab my finger with that. This is a really good strong cotton, as I say. It's a crochet cotton. If I can crochet, but my eyesight is so bad now that I can't crochet small enough to do delicate doilies. I wish I could, because then I wouldn't be constantly hunting for the old ones. I could make my own new ones. But this is the same cotton, those of you that saw it, that I used for the tatting that I made. That was back on the Stitching Advent. Right, okay, so coming out the end there and just pulling it. Now, when you pull your Suffolk puff closed, you obviously get this gathering, and that's what we then tend to pull it tight like that. And you would tend then to press it down and put something on it. But I'm thinking that that could make a really nice mushroom if we stitched it. So I don't want to tie that any tighter. I'm just going to pull through from the back, do a couple of holding stitches to make sure it doesn't go any tighter. Okay, and then I'm going to pop that one about there like that. Okay, so I'm just going to run a line, run a stitch, like a stab stitch, push my needle through. I haven't disconnected yet from where I did the holding stitches. and I'm going to just fasten off at the back because I want to add, I'm going to call it the trunk, I don't know what it's called, but you know, the stem of the mushroom. Obviously I want to add that as well, and I'll show you how I'm going to add that. Whoops, getting knots in this thread now, look. It's all going wrong, Mum. Right, there we go. So I'm just going to cut that off there for now. So it is attached, but it's just flapping around in the breeze, okay? Then I'm going to take the next one and I'm going to make sure that when I pull it, it's going to be the darker that's on the outside, purely because I've got two-tone. If you want to do it in completely different fabrics, so that you've got two different ones, that's fine. Now the argument is, I appreciate that not all of you, when you started this, you would necessarily have chosen creamy browny mushroomy colour fabrics. So I will suggest to you that if you've got, as it were, pinks and blues and things like that, then you would lay it down in the normal fashion, which I'll show you in a minute. I've got one here actually. So you'd put it right tight and flat, and then you can stitch a button on it, and you can make flowers instead of mushrooms. Yeah, you can still put your stalks on. I mean, that's a particularly big one. You can obviously do much smaller ones. Yeah, in fact I might use a couple of those pink ones as flowers underneath my mushrooms, if that makes sense. So I trust you're all happy and well, safe. Getting back into crafting, or are you out of crafting? Did you, have spare time over Christmas? Got another little knot there. Did you have spare time over Christmas that you've now lost because you've had to go back to work? Come out, little knot. We do not want you in there. This is obviously not really a knot. It's just where the cotton wraps round itself and it makes like a knot, but it's not really a knot, if that makes sense. You just have to pull it out. It's really annoying when you do it, especially in something like this, because when you're trying to gather it up, you obviously can't gather it. There it is, I heard it pop out. There you go. You can't gather it because the knot stops you pulling it through. So it's a little bit annoying, but hey ho. So the house looks bare because the tree and all the decorations have gone. It's much healthier though, because there's not loads of bad food on the side that everyone's picking at every 5 minutes and then deciding that they don't really want any dinner because they've eaten too many chocolates and nuts and things like that. You tend to find that these knots happen in the main when you've got a very long thread. If you've got a shorter thread, they don't tend to happen so much. Now that one feels like a real knot, which is super annoying. Right, I can't get this one out, I don't think. Let's have a little look. So I don't really want to break the cotton. Do it again. Because that would just be annoying. I don't know if you can hear, that's Boo snoring in the background. yeah, no, I can't. I'm going to have to cut it, pull it out, and it's so annoying because look, I was nearly there. Just pull the thread out, and then I'll do it again. There you go. It'll be worth it in the end. I have found over the years of crafting or making things by hand, whatever you want to say, that when you do something and it's wrong, you will see that for forever and a day. And every single time you look at it, it will annoy you. So to me, it's just not worth it. You might as well stop and correct it, so that, you know, that doesn't happen. Because at the end of the day, you want to love what you've made. You've put a lot of time, effort, and probably, and here's another one, look, these little things on this side. You've put a lot of time, effort, and materials, all of which cost money, into doing what you've done. You want to be proud of it and you want to love it. And it doesn't, when I say that, I don't mean you have to be some kind of expert level. That's not, don't misunderstand me, that is not what I mean, because I honestly, I'm not an expert at anything. I'm a doer, I'm a trier, I'll have a go. Sometimes I have a go at something and it doesn't work, but I enjoyed the process so much that I will keep banging away at it until I find a way of producing something that I'm happy with, getting it right. Other times, like currently, this bit of thread is driving me insane. Other times I will try it will go wrong, and I'll be like, do you know what, I am really not interested. Oh, I can't believe this. I'm really not interested in trying. Right, so here we go again. You might want to fast forward this bit because you're probably as frustrated watching it as I am doing it. So much for calm stitching. What was I saying? I'm not saying an expert, you know, at all. There are times when I have tried things and, as I say, they've been a nightmare. It's gone completely wrong and I couldn't wait to put it in the bin. I don't know why. I think there's a reason this is not coming through, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if there's some kind of issue with the fabric, and I know Paul Workman always blames his tools, but it seems to have got stuck twice in the same place. Let's try one last time, and then I will be turning the camera off if need be, getting it done, and then coming back to you. Yeah, sorry, I'm a trier, I'm a doer, and yeah, there's times that I go, oh, I'll try that. I mean, I remember one was that paper quilling, and I spent hours trying to do it, and I couldn't get it right, and I got more and more cross with it, and no, I lost complete interest. I didn't want to play. Yeah, you see, there is definitely something going on with this thread here, because this is not pulling through. Not this thread, this fabric. Right, hang on. Right, okay. Yeah, and I'm like, no, sorry, this is not for me. Cannot wait to get it all out of my sight. There are other times, you know, when you do things like sewing. I mean, I remember always being horrifically bad at sewing, to the extent that if the children pulled a button or something, it would probably go in the bin, because I couldn't even get a button to go on straight without it being 10 foot off the dress or top or whatever. I hated sewing. And then as I got older, I mean hand sewing, I'd always machine stitched. I used to make all my own clothes. Not very well, but I used to make all my own clothes. And then as I got older, probably about a year ago now, I just suddenly thought, oh, I'll have a go at doing some stitching. Right, so I finally got it to go in, yeah, and I loved it. And then I discovered there was this thing called slow stitching. So I thought, oh, what's that? I'll have a go at that. See, so again, we got another one now. And I think I want him, right, that one's sitting there. He's going to sit about there. A bit lower, maybe. So we'll do a holding stitch again, like we did before. Yeah, I discovered this thing called slow stitching. I was like, wow. And then I was suddenly just off and running. Now, don't get me wrong. Here we go again. You know, I mean, some of the things that I did in the beginning, I thought were absolutely dreadful and very rough looking. But because I was enjoying it, I pushed on and carried on with the process because I loved it. Right. Now I know that looks very weird at the moment because we got these two things. But what I want to do now, got all that cut off thread, is I want to work out exactly where they're going to go. And I think they're going to sit about there like that. I'm going to find the twine that I want to use for my stalks, legs, whatever they're called, trunks, I don't know. So I've got some of this old, just like garden twine really. So I'm going to cut myself a lump of this, and then I'm just going to push that on there and couch it down as if it's the stalk. So work out how far in, you know, you want it to be, how long you need it to be to sit under your mushroom as a stalk. Yeah, so that's plenty for me. So I'm gonna cut that off there like that, and that I'll pull them together when I couch it, and that will be the stalk for my mushroom. And then I'm going to do the same again for that one. So fold them in half, and again, if you're doing flowers, you can do it in exactly the same way. The only difference is that you'd ideally have this green. If you haven't got any green string, or you could use some ribbon. Right, I've tied a knot in my thread. I'm going to come up under, that's not in the right place. I'm going to come up under that first high level mushroom head. Okay, I'm going to put these together and give them a bit of a twist, and I'm going to put it like that. Okay, and I'm just going to stab stitch through there and pull it so I know it's anchored. Yeah, it's anchored to my fabric. And now I'm going to come all the way through. So I've come through from the back and I'm going to come all the way through that mushroom head. Okay. Pull that through like so. Now it's looking a bit more like a Suffolk puff and a bit less like a mushroom now. So what I need to do is go back through almost in identical position so that it becomes like an invisible stitch like that. Okay, and then we're gonna do exactly the same at the other end. Okay, and I've pushed it together a bit, you saw that, because I want the height. I don't want it to be flat like a standard Suffolk puff. That's why we didn't draw it completely closed. Can you see? So we've got this height. So then again, I'm going to come up at this edge and down right next to it, almost in exactly the same stitch, like so. Okay, you can see the 3 points. I'm then going to do the 4th one, which will be there, and again in exactly the same spot, give or take. I have actually done it right on top of itself before. There you go, and you can see we've got this like mushroom going on. Well, I'm calling it a mushroom. And then I'm just going to twist this back round because we've lost some of our twist. Okay, come back to the front with our thread, and then I'm going to poke it under so the thread is in, the needle's in the loop, and I'm going to catch the other side. You'll see. Yeah, look, whoops. Now it wants to fall back over, but when I pull it tight it goes back over. So now you need to do a fixing stitch. So come back up here, pull it nice and tight, and go, excuse the dog here, dog's molting. How if you can molt in January, I don't know. And pull that down again like that, and then I'm going to, alright, so let me do this so you can see. So we've got our trunk or our stalk, whatever it is, and then we've got our mushroom. Okay, and that is totally fixed down. So I'm just gonna, and this is still the original white cotton I'm using because the detail we'll do with a coloured thread in a minute. Okay, so tie that off so that's fixed and solid. Okay, and we've got a flower or a mushroom depending on what colour you're doing. Now I'm just trying to work exactly where I want this one. I think I want that one there. So another knot in my standard thread. We're not using embroidery thread at the moment. This is just standard thread for holding stuff down. Exactly the same thing again. I've taken it, I'm going to poke it under where I want it, which is there. I'm going to, whoops, not catch the mushroom, but catch the cord. Okay, so like that. Oops. That's it. Right. Sorry, I know I'm swinging it around and shaking it up and down and all of that. Oops, that one's come out. Right. If that happens, just go back up and catch it again. It's not a problem. There we go. Okay. Right. Now, the next thing, remember, is to twist it. So, oh, I can't believe I keep pulling this bit out. Hang on. Let's fix this. If it's being troublesome, like mine was, then I've actually stitched through the middle of it. Right, now it's not coming out. Okay, but I do want my needle at the back of my work. So I'm just pulling that back through. Okay, and now we're going to twist this again. And here's another one. And twist it again. Okay, and then because your needle's at the back, you can bring your needle forward. If it's sprung back, it doesn't matter. Just twist it round again. Hold it in place and put your needle through the back to hold it. Okay, that's what we did on the other one, wasn't it? And then we're just going to pull it tight to hold it to the side we want it. And we're just going to do a couple of little holding stitches to hold it in place. Okay. Ta-da! Now we're going to finish playing with this mushroom. Now you'll see on this one, I've actually left some of the gather hanging out deliberately. It's a mushroom. I want it to be a little bit, whoops, a little bit scruffy. So I'm just doing that same secret hidden stitch to hold it in place. I'm going to do one at the top there again. Now this time, because the other one's already there, I've gone through both of them. That's fine, doesn't matter. Okay, and now I want to puff it up a bit, don't I? Remember? So I'm going to make it almost like an old-fashioned bonnet, if that makes sense. Puffed up little bonnet to give it a little bit of semi 3-dimension. Okay, and then I'm going to come, just the only thing you need to make sure is obviously that you've got the edge of your stalk covered. As long as that's covered, it doesn't matter. Oh, we've got a big, no we haven't, there we go. I thought we had another knot. I was going to be quite cross. There we go. So that's now stitched. Okay, and just for added dimension, I'm going to put a little flower there. There's a flower growing here, just because I had it on my desk. There's a flower growing here underneath these mushrooms, and you can see even with this white thread, because I'm going right tiny next door stitch, you can't see it. So they're all attached now, okay, and that flower is just sort of hanging over that stem or trunk or stalk or whatever, the base bit. There must be a proper name. Surely it's just a stalk, isn't it? I don't know. The base of the mushroom. Okay, there you go. Now we can do some fun, pretty stitching. Okay, because everything's held down. Okay, so there's our two mushrooms, all nice and three-dimensional. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my mushroom coloured thread, okay, and I'm going to do some French knots through the mushroom so that it's got, as it were, spots. So I'm going to come up through there where I've got that divot in my puffy mushroom, and I'm going to do a nice big fat French knot. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put my needle back down basically where it was. Make sure you hold this piece nice and tight. Poke the needle through. Why, oh why, oh why. Seriously, I can't get my needle through. There we go. And just pull. Make sure you got it nice and tight. And there, because it's in the divot, you can't see it very well, but there's my French knot. So then I'm going to do another one about there. And this is going to help add like a quilted dimension to this puffy mushroom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back down, hold the string firm, push my needle through. See, I'm holding this, I've still got my finger on it, and pull. And you can see you've got this little dimension, yeah? And then I think we'll have one, no, not there, about there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, the thing with French knots is the more times you wind the thread, the bigger or smaller your knot will be. That's the only difference. And then pull. So you can see we've got these little like dimension spots on our mushroom, and I think we'll have one there. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. Oh, I put the needle in the wrong place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Holding that piece firm, pushing that through. And pulling it. So there you go. We have got, ow, just stabbed myself with a needle. We've got one hidden down there, and then we've got 3 round there. Okay, and now I'm going to put a couple in the white one. And also, of course, I'm coming through from the back. So not only am I doing the pretty French knot, but I'm also further stitching the mushroom to the base. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In there, down. Hold your thread nice and tight and pull. There we go. There's another one. And then I think we'll have one about there, maybe. Put them anywhere, really. 1, 2, 3, 5. It's just for the love, you know, because we love stitching. It's for the love of stitching, and also to add prettiness, which is what we're doing all the time when we're doing this kind of sewing. You know, it's not about sewing a button on. It's about doing it because you enjoy it. Okay, so we got, I think we just need one about there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's that one. And then I'm going to use my, there you go. I'm going to finish that off. I'm going to use my yellow thread. Don't look at the back of my work. Back of my work is always a dreadful mess, which I know, you know, in the old days when they taught you to sew at school and the like, they used to wrap your knuckles if the back wasn't as pretty as the front, but you know, it is what it is. And now I'm just going to use my yellow thread. I'm going to do more French knots to give myself a middle to my flower. So I'm going through the centre. 1, 2, 3, 4. I only did 4 on that one, so that one will be slightly smaller. Okay, now you can't quite see them yet because obviously this is a proper Suffolk puff, which means it's laying flat with all of its gathers, but the more you do, the more visible it will become. A bit like when we did our pistil flowers over there. I mean, you can see them, they're coming. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do another big one. Oh, I've pulled my needle off. And in pulling my needle off, look, I've lost control of that thread and it's gone all baggy and weird. So I'm going to pull it all the way back out. There's how to deal with it if it goes wrong. Pull it back out like that. We're going to see if we can thread this, or if we need to get our handy tool back out. No, we did it. Okay, so let's try again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Poke that in there, hold that down there. And seriously, you know, if you find it helps you, talk to yourself while you're doing it. I do that all the time. It's almost like I'm reteaching myself every time I do a stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In there. Hold that tight. Poke that through. And pull. So you can see now we've got, I think we need about 3 more to give us a proper sort of look. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go for 4 this time. And you see I'm varying it. I'm doing 4s and 5s just because nature is not, you know, completely the same, is it? This will be the last one because this thread's not long enough to do another one. Right, so finish that off because we don't want to lose our work. There you go. So we've got a flower with our middle pollen and we got 2 mushrooms. You could obviously couch all the way up that if you wanted to, up them stems. I'm not going to bother. I'm going to leave it there. So, happy stitching to you. I hope you've enjoyed Sunday afternoon stitching or Sunday stitching. Take care. Be back with you very soon. Bye bye for now.